All right, so here's how it works. Your career needs to, this is what you've done in the 21st century, so 2000 to now. So there was one quarterback who straddled the line. It's Brett Favre. He's not included. And Brett Favre won all his MVPs in the 90s, won his Super Bowl in the 90s. I know he played in the 2000s. He's not eligible for this mountain. 15 best quarterbacks of the last quarter century, 15 best quarterbacks of the 2000s, bottom row. Let's reveal it. Eli Manning, two-time Super Bowl champion, two-time Super Bowl MVP, not a whole hell of a lot else, but they get you on the mountain. Phillip Rivers, 8-time Pro Bowler, not a whole hell of a lot else. He played in the AFC Championship game with a torn ACL. That's impressive. Seems to be a wonderful father. I do like that, but not a lot of big moments. Kind of got blocked by Brady and Manning and Big Ben, so that's where he is. Russell Wilson, pre-Mahomes, the best opening 3 years of a career by any quarterback in modern NFL history. If you include, if you true first 3 years, because Brady obviously didn't play his rookie year. And then kind of tailed Russell's first 3 years, divisional round, then Super Bowl championship, Super Bowl loss.
It was impressive.
Was wildly impressive. Really? Obviously was then really good after that, but it hasn't really had the end you would like. Cam Newton and Matt Ryan, it's about the singular peaks of it.
Yep.
They both won an MVP, going resoundingly, and made a Super Bowl at their peak. They're there. Fourth row, Lamar Jackson. Two-time, I believe, I guess, about to be three-time league MVP. Big Ben, three Super Bowl appearances, 2 Super Bowl wins. Matt Stafford, 1 Super Bowl appearance, 1 Super Bowl win. Unbelievable postseason numbers, but not really the volume in the postseason. Josh Allen, this is a tough one because he's got none of the accolades of those other guys. However, you do feel like, when he just keeps losing to the same guy, and that guy is held in the esteem that we hold him, and the raw numbers, the stats of the rushing touchdowns, the total touchdowns, all that, it feels to me like Josh Allen's a better quarterback than all of the 5 guys beneath him. But in fairness, he doesn't have the accolades of any of the 5 or accomplishments 5 guys beneath him, so that's where I land. Third row, Aaron Rodgers. 10 Pro Bowls, 4 MVPs. You guys know the resume. It's pretty damn good. Kurt Warner, I'll be honest, we didn't cheat on this. However, you might be like, wait, Warner did all that in the 99 season. He was awarded the MVP and won the Super Bowl in January of 2000.
I buy that.
So you know what?
Yeah.
Counts for the
That counts.
century. Drew Brees, if Tom Brady didn't exist, he would hold every single quarterbacking statistical record. Instead, he's second place on basically all of them and won a Super Bowl. Patrick Mahomes. 6 Pro Bowl, or the next row. Patrick Mahomes, Peyton Manning. Well, you guys know Patrick's resume. The 5 Super Bowl appearances, 3 wins, maybe about to be 4. Peyton's Peyton, 4 Super Bowl appearances, 2 wins, 5 league MVPs. And atop the mountain, for now, Tom Brady. The GOAT. And for the foreseeable future, the GOAT, 10 Super Bowl appearances, 7 Super Bowl wins, basically all you could ask for from a quarterback over a 20-plus year career, all in the 2000s. Oh, guys, take that off.
Wait, what?
Nobody.
Oh, yeah.
Guys, this is.
That doesn't look like Jaden.
Oh, guys, come on. I didn't.
needs to be
I tell you right now, I didn't put Caleb on there. He's trying, though.
I like it. Yeah, that's right.
Listen, he's climbing, and he's right next to Aaron Rodgers, his idol. He's like, hey, can you give me some tips? I didn't put him on there.
No.
Okay, let's talk about this, and then we'll listen to see what everyone else says. I originally didn't do this. Then a lot of people were kind of like, hey, do this. Which that's actually really cool, I'll be honest. I really appreciate when you guys want to hear my thoughts on some of these things. I originally, when I was making clips yesterday, I just skipped through it because I didn't, I was trying to make other clips at that time, and I just figured, this is probably less pressing since it's just the best quarterbacks of the 21st century, but I appreciate that you guys, want to hear and see. Let me just give the caveat, right off the bat, though. I'm going to struggle with this, straight up, because I've said this a lot now, more recently, and this is the way how I've always felt. This was, to me, more highlighted watching basketball more than anything, with LeBron James and Michael Jordan and stuff like that. That it's it's so hard to compare eras because the reality is just like these quarterbacks, especially once you talk about Mahomes, but then also Brady, because Brady played obviously for so long, and then Lamar, Allen, and now also at the tail end with Stafford, is just like such different football. The style, I mean, it really is. And it's just, I played a bunch of videos of Tom Brady just getting walloped, getting his head knocked off, and compared it to what it was this year. And again, I always emphasize, I'm happy that stuff is out of the game. I really, really am. But the game has just so fundamentally changed. And I really actually hope moving forward that I'm going to really try my best. Like, you know, sometimes it could be fun, but also like for me, it's like trying to figure out who's better, Mahomes or Brady or this. Like, it is actually something that the more I think about, that I really become less interested in, because they just played in two completely different NFLs. And again, it just can't even be debated. And that's not to say that, oh, well, that means that Brady's the GOAT and no one can ever surpass him. Like, I'm not saying that either. Like, it has nothing to do with like Mahomes versus Brady, honestly. It's just these guys played in such different NFLs. Like, again, the rules were fundamentally different. Not even just being able to hit the quarterback, but then just where you can throw the ball in terms of having receivers, you know, getting knocked out. And like I always say, like, Tom Brady himself said that, like, at the end of my career, like, I'm making throws that I would never make. His one record-breaking touchdown, I forget which record it was, whether it was like the most touchdowns or whatever it was when I think it was Evans threw the ball into the crowd, you know, into the crowd or whatever. And he said, like, he was actually on Colin Cowherd, and he said, like, that's a throw that I would have never made a few years ago because my receiver would be like knocked out. And so, yeah, it's just to me that really puts things in perspective. My other thing is like when we talk about accomplishments, like this is what's so interesting, because, you know, Nick even talked about Josh Allen, about saying like, oh, you know, it's tough, he's up there, but he doesn't have any of those accolades. But he knows how special Josh Allen is. And that's why like accolades like MVPs and things of that, it just doesn't mean that much to me at this point, especially when you figure out, when you realize who votes. You know, like I remember Michael Wilbon was responsible for voting for you know, first team for in the NBA and stuff like that. First team, second team, third team. And he talked about how he didn't vote for Klay Thompson, how he felt sick to his stomach because for the NBA, like you're either now eligible for the Supermax or not. And he's like, I wish I did. And I'm just like, he's just a guy. You know, he's not watching every single basketball game. He can't possibly. I mean, that's actually like impossible. So it's just like, and he's responsible now for voting based off of just like random thoughts and feelings. Like, when you realize that's the way how it is in the NFL too, those awards mean little. You know, Pro Bowls, All Pros, MVPs. You know, they're fun and they're nice, but it's just like, I don't know. You're gonna tell me that Tom Brady shouldn't have like 15 MVPs or Patrick Mahomes shouldn't be getting, you know, 15 MVPs when it's all said and done. Michael Jordan, LeBron, like we know that those things are always kind of weird and skewed a little bit. And then again, you have someone like Eli Manning who was not this great quarterback, but then go watch highlights of some of those Super Bowl runs. I mean, I said this like months. I think I said it like preseason during the summer when I was making videos, and I was saying like it's crazy when you watch like Eli Manning come back, you know, against the Patriots and win like on his final drive or the last couple drives or whatever it is. You're like, that dude literally looks like Mahomes. Like seriously, like you're like, this guy looks like an absolute all-time great legend. Like that's the crazy thing about football. Is that, you know, again, you have someone like Nick Foles out-dueling Tom Brady. So to me, when you take some of these more singular moments, it's like, what do we do? Because you have Cam Newton, and this is actually probably even a better example. You have someone like a Cam Newton who went to the Super Bowl, lost, got an MVP, same thing with Ryan, etc. Clearly, in terms of just even now, like true success with the team, clearly lacking, right? He only ever really did anything that 1 year when you really put it in the scheme of things. But then you have someone like Donovan McNabb, who I've said is like not that great of a quarterback, relatively speaking, especially in time anyone kind of tries to pull down Andy Reid. I'm like, well, he had McNabb, and it's just like, well, there you have it. McNabb went to 4 straight NFC Championship games, and you know, and then I think he went to the 5th. I forget if it was McNabb or if at that point it was Vic or whatever. I honestly don't exactly remember anymore, because that's the thing too. It's like trying to put it in perspective of like Phillip Rivers. I remember specifically watching a one playoff game with Phillip Rivers. I don't even want to say the year out loud because it was too long ago, but it was a long time ago. And it was like, and I don't even remember, but that's the thing. I remember watching the game. I remember, and it might have been against the Patriots. And I remember watching this game and thinking like, I think maybe at the time I was rooting for Rivers. Like, I don't know. But I just remember watching this game, but like, that's all I remember. I just remember watching the game. I don't remember exactly how it unfolded. I don't remember, did someone drop a pass? What was his O-line like? Who was actually on his team? What was the coach like? I don't actually remember. So it becomes so hard to really put in perspective, Kurt Warner. It just becomes hard. It really does. And so that's why it's just like, I don't know exactly what to do with it. I don't have any problem with any of these quarterbacks whatsoever, but it is interesting when you put someone like Eli up there, because here's the thing. Eli is obviously the most unique one, where you would be like, okay, he won 2 Super Bowls. And at the end of the day, you're like, that's what you're trying to do. It's like, if you'd had a quarterback where you said, okay, he's going to be terrible for 15 years, really weird, uneven seasons. And I'm not saying this was Eli. I'm just using this as an example now. You're going to have a quarterback for 15 years, and he's going to be like up and down. And sometimes he's going to be great. Sometimes he's going to be absolutely awful. He's going to have 4 interception games, multiple fumble games, like all this type of nonsense. But when it's all said and done, you're going to win 3 Super Bowls. I mean, every single fan base would be like, yeah, fine, whatever, I'll take it. And like that is kind of the weird thing. Because then if you said you're going to have a quarterback who's absolutely amazing, he's going to ball out, he's going to set all these records, he's going to be an absolute beast, but you're only going to get to the Super Bowl twice and 50-50 chance of you winning one. You would be like, I don't know, I'll take the other guy then who's like really inconsistent and this. So it's like, it's a weird thing to do. It's a weird situation to kind of be in. But that kind of probably rings true for someone like, especially say like a Josh Allen, because you have someone like a Josh Allen who we know is special, we know is amazing, and yet I'm not sure, like, if you had to choose between Stafford and Allen, who are you going to pick? Would you choose Rodgers over Josh Allen? Especially when we start to look into all of the other things like, the intangibles and whatnot, and what you can do for your team. Like, that to me is what's kind of interesting. Because I think, like, if you put like a Josh Allen on the Pittsburgh Steelers team, if you put Josh Allen on with the Los Angeles Rams, if you put Josh Allen, with some of these teams where they won their Super Bowls, I would say that Josh Allen, if you put him on any of those individual teams, he would win. He would win a Super Bowl. But you could do that, honestly, I feel like, with every single quarterback here. I really, really feel that way. At least one of Tom Brady's Super Bowls, if we put like Matt Ryan or Cam Newton or Russ or Rivers or Eli, they'd win. I believe that. I believe if Rodgers got drafted by the New England Patriots, he'd have a lot more Super Bowl wins. Same thing with Peyton. So that's why, like, and that's what, this is kind of another perfect example to kind of emphasize that whenever I talk about Patrick Mahomes, and when I talk about, if Josh Allen was on the Kansas City Chiefs or Lamar Jackson was on the Chiefs, like, they would have more Super Bowls and Mahomes would have less, et cetera, et cetera. And again, that always causes just an absolute panic from Mahomes fans, but it's just like, I'm saying the same thing about Tom Brady. Now, again, what I'm not saying is that if you put, Russell Wilson on the New England Patriots, that he would have 6 Super Bowls. Like, I'm not saying that either, but I do think that there would be some elevation of these accolades. That's why, like, using accolades doesn't really, I feel like it's unhelpful. I do. I feel like for the most part, it actually is more unhelpful, and I'd rather actually just try to neutralize it all and just be like, how great do I think these quarterbacks are outside of any of the accolades, outside of the Super Bowls, outside of even maybe like who their team is in terms of their coaching staff? Because again, I've drilled down on that so much in terms of how much coaching matters, and kind of like, do you have a good defense? Again, especially when you're talking about in the early 2000s, like, defense. Why do you think that there is that saying, defense wins championships? Like, defense. It's not a shock that back, in the early 2000s and even, before that it was such a defensive driven league, and that the GOAT, Tom Brady, had the best defensive coach in the history of the NFL. Like, that's not luck. That's not just like, just was what it is. It's not a coincidence. It's the reality of the situation. And that's why, again, now we're in an offensive era, And now the new GOAT, Patrick Mahomes, has the best offensive head coach in the NFL, in NFL history. It's not a shock. It's not a shock. So it's just I kind of try to look at it to be like, who do I think, like, who do I want? You know, who do I think is truly special? Who do I think could have the most amount of success? So, you know, I'm just not going to be in a position to just be like, I think we got to move Big Ben down, move Russ up, move Josh Allen up, but bring Kurt Warner down. Like, I don't know how you could honestly do that. I really, really don't. And that's why I'm curious to see actually what Greg and everyone else says, because I'm just like, I don't know how you could honestly be like, you know, and also there's other quarterbacks that I'm probably not even thinking about right now, because I can't remember every single quarterback of the last 21st century. I guarantee you there's going to be a name where I'm going to be like, oh my God, how could I forget, you know, so-and-so? Because also it appears a perfect example, Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow has obviously been banged up and whatnot, but like if you had to draft a quarterback, you had to get a quarterback today, who are you picking? Eli Manning or Joe Burrow? We know Joe Burrow is a better quarterback than Eli Manning, but Eli Manning has 2 Super Bowls. You know, like it's just like a weird situation, and I'm trying to think of any other even current quarterbacks right now that I'm kind of like, you know, who would you pick? Again, none jump out at me, but I'm sure I'm missing someone. So that's why if I'm missing someone, I'm not purposely doing it. Like I'm not like, oh yeah, it's just like I can't think of every single quarterback, you know, in any given moment. Because again, like I'm pretty sure we would. I think a lot of people. I think Joe Burrow is actually kind of a great example, and take away his injuries, unfortunately, but you know, he's obviously a special quarterback, and like I think a lot of people, if you had to start a franchise, and if you just knew everyone was going to stay healthy, you're going to pick Joe Burrow probably over every single person on that bottom line. The one outlier would maybe be Cam because of what he can do physically, but like, I don't know. And again, it's also kind of like recency bias, because again, the last time that I saw Rivers in his like true prime was like 15 plus years ago or something. Like it's just, I don't know. It's a weird situation to be in.
It needs to be.
I tell you right now, I didn't put Caleb on there.
Oh.
He's trying though.
Like the quarterbacks of the 21st century. Obviously, the first 3, I don't think they're debatable. The order is what it is. After that, for me, I wouldn't have Drew Brees. And again, I know it's not left to right.
Oh, we're going to go left to right.
I see it left to right. And so when I see Kurt Warner in front of Drew Brees, I have a hard time with that one.
Wow.
But I'm just going to get right to it. And you're right. This is not Allen's Alpines. And so there's an exercise that we've all done it when we were kids and possibly as adults, where you get this little worksheet or you're playing a game and you look at it and it's like, which one doesn't belong? And it's Josh Allen.
Yeah.
Wow. Like you're
just being very.
This is not his mountain.
Off.
He's not on this mountain.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
Like he's just not. He is not on this mountain. You cannot be on a mountain with every guy. Can we go to something that you put up? You put this up just yesterday.
Oh, trophies?
Career trophies. You can't be on that mountain with all those.
This means nothing to me.
All those accolades. Guys who've won MVPs, multiple MVPs, Super Bowls, at least Super Bowl appearances.
You got to throw Flacco on there.
And you have nothing.
So you don't just want him dropped down, you want him off?
What's he got? What's the argument?
He can't be on here right now.
Donovan McNabb is taking his spot?
So all I'm saying,
Jalen Hurts?
He can't be on this mountain.
I mentioned McNabb.
Okay, so here's
Put Joe Burrow on there.
So
well, that's the interesting thing. You picked Allen over Burrow.
He can't be on this
Allen
mountain
without
with
Burrow.
none of these accolades that all these other guys.
Well, so I thought that might come up. I didn't think it'd come up from you, the guy who owns, chalet on Allen's Alpine.
Exactly.
You're underwater in that one, buddy. Brew, this is where I think I'll get your support. Show the mountain again if we could. I apologize. The guys on Allen's Row and above, those 10 guys, to me, are blink test Hall of Famers. I understand Josh Allen's, the cement is not dry. He has to accomplish more. But everyone on his row and above him, to me, those are the I really don't need to argue about it Hall of Fame quarterbacks.
So Stafford?
To me, yes.
Really?
I feel.
Because I know after the Super Bowl win, you didn't have him in there.
I didn't have him in there yet, but it was, to me, very clear he was en route, and I think he has helped his case since then. Everyone on the row beneath is either a no or a very hard debate. Again, Josh is tough because I get if he retired today, he's obviously not a Hall of Famer.
Right.
I understand that piece of it, but I don't think he's going to all of a sudden disintegrate as a player over the next 5 years.
And I'm gonna let this play too, but like let's also add though. First off, I think Stafford is absolutely special, and I think I said this in the comment section a couple of days ago that if Stafford went anywhere but Detroit, he would be in the conversations of like Breeze and Peyton and Rodgers and Brady, like during that, the heart of that era when everybody was having those conversations. I mean, again, he was with defensive head coaches. He was in a terribly run organization. If Stafford went somewhere that was like more offensively driven, well run, Stafford, again, I think would have had a similar career to that of like a Rodgers or a Peyton, one of those types of situations. And I think Stafford could have even entered the conversation where they're like, well, we think Stafford's a better quarterback than Tom Brady, but Tom Brady's the GOAT. The same things that they said about Aaron Rodgers and Peyton Manning versus Brady and all of that. Stafford really is that special. The problem is that he finally went to a great coach when he was already starting like the relative decline of who he was physically. And so that just is what it is. But again, we'll emphasize Josh Allen too for a second, since that's the conversation that they're having. Okay, so I'm actually going to just end the video here, actually. Sorry, I know this is going to be a little bit of a whiplash. And I'm going to post a separate video because I think otherwise this video is going to end up being so long. And I fear that it'll get lost in the fold. So I'm going to end that there, and then I'm going to post another video just breaking down because I think it's actually worth a longer conversation. Because as I was about to go get some of this stuff up, I was like, you know what? This is actually a more interesting conversation that should have its own video. And we have 2 weeks until the next football game. So like, we're going to be thirsty for content. And so this is actually kind of a perfect opportunity to do that. So I'll just end it there, but then don't worry, I will kind of see that the other conversations are having. Obviously, we know this one's about Josh Allen, and when I was setting it up, I think Wilds brings up Jalen Hurts, and I have no idea what Brew brings. And again, I have no idea what the argument for Hurts was from Wilds. It was just when I was setting up the clip. So I'm just going to go finish this up. I'm posting this right now. I'm literally recording this like literally right now. So, and then we'll go on from there. So a little not how it's done usually, but I feel like this is probably the best way. So if you're watching this and you're like, what the heck, I want to see what the rest is going on, it's going to be posted, I promise. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about this mountain? I don't know why it's called Mahomes Mountain if Tom Brady's at the top. But let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and I'd absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.